So thank you for hanging out with us. We just finished answering a question about best things we like best about being a DM and being a player. Um, did
Ooh.
anyone else have anything to add to that before we moved on? Did we miss anything? Okay,
I think I'm good.
awesome. And so let's see. Here we go. Um, so our next question is if you could play in any fantasy setting from novels, movies, etc., what would it be?
Yes.
What?
Hmm.
Yes.
I don't know what
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say like, but that's an obvious one. I really, we already kind of play in that setting, so that's not a. I think Lord of the Rings should be nixed out of that list of settings.
I mean, I don't. That's.
I know someone who's playing in a Lord of the Rings campaign, and they are upset about the lack of magic.
There's really not all that much that most people in that setting can do, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Exactly, and that's what they're frustrated about.
Yeah, that would drive me crazy, personally. As a person who loves magic, so.
I would just play an elf.
There you go.
The only problem with when you pick a setting like that is it's so closed booked, right?
Mhm.
The chapters are written, the chapters are pretty much game overed. There's not a whole lot you can do with it. The one that I always thought was really neat and that I would like to play more and see the story elaborated on is the Wheel of Time series, because that series has got a lot of it. I mean, there's a lot in it, and there's a lot of threads that he never closed. And the guy that they brought in to ghostwrite for him, and I can never remember his name, but he's a great author as well. But they never closed a lot of those chapters. There's a lot of threads that are just laid out there that they just left. It's a great series, but yeah, and I agree with Enigma Soul out of the chat room. I have a lot of issue with those books because I read them all, and I hate them all, but I still read them all. But
I hear that a lot about that series. I haven't started it. I bought the first book. I never got, I don't have time. I don't have time,
I've heard of it, never read it.
I would say put it in your Audible or audiobook series and then go work out to it, because otherwise you'll grow old listening to it. It's a huge series.
Pride and Prejudice right now, so I'll have to finish that one.
But it's got a very interesting magic system, so which is why I think it'd be an interesting game world, because it's got a level of corruption, which is why with the retroverse and the way they do corruption is interesting. So it's got a risk reward system built into it.
I like that. That is one of the things I find really interesting, and with the older versions of Dungeons and Dragons, there were mechanics built into where different classes would gain levels differently. Like different amounts of experience points you needed. So you need like twice as many experience points to like level as a wizard as compared to a rogue, right? Just as an example, right? So they could do things a little differently with those classes and stuff. One of the things I really loved about the Dragonlance setting is how so they had the three orders of wizards. The good, the bad, the neutral. Right? Just to put it in the basic broadest terms. Well, your black robe wizards, the evil, they what they try to do is they try to cast or use magic more than they're ready for. Okay, and so they leveled faster, but they ended up in the long run being like a weaker class, because there would be these side effects. There's a price to pay for not spending the time, right? So I love that aspect and how I've been trying to work it into like a 5e, because I like the concept of like, yeah, maybe you do want these abilities, right? Like that you're just not ready for. There's going to be some price that you have to pay every time you try to use it, and so I like that kind of concept. But anyway, and there's my obligatory Dragonlance mention, because I can't stop talking about Dragonlance. Boy.
Nerdy Chatty, are you okay?
Oh yeah, I'm fine. I was just looking at something off to the.
Oh, okay.
It's fine.
You just.
Yeah, I just. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
My hand because I was looking at my other monitor.
Got it. Make sure.
But what about everyone else? Nerdy Ted, do you have a setting or like a series or film or anything like that you'd want to?
Honestly, when I seen that question, what immediately came to mind was Chronicles of Shannara.
Oh yeah.
I love the. I never read the books. I have at least a couple of them, but I did get to watch the series, which was not long enough.
Right.
But I love the idea of this fantasy world built on top of the ruins of our world, which I think it would be a lot of fun.
It's funny because I will say I tried to read the first book, right? Like years ago. It's a hard read, okay? Not gonna lie. I couldn't get into it. The series though was fantastic. I mean, at least especially that first season. The first season was done really well. I didn't get to see all of the second, but I thought they did a really good job, especially for a show that was on MTV. Okay, don't get me wrong.
Didn't it move to Sci-Fi Network at one
I mean,
point?
it probably did, but it was still built around that like. It was catered. The show was catered and made to that fan base. You know what I'm saying? Like, it took those books and gave it a real young spin. With a lot of pretty people in the show. But they still did a really good job with it. And the sad part was is that like years ago I was coming up with this whole homebrewed world that was basically just that set, like in the future with like everything was all like kind of went back to being that. I like saw the Shannara thing. It's like, mother. Of course the idea's been done. It's a good idea. But yeah, I have to agree with you. That's a really cool setting. I really, really dig it, and yeah, I agree. I like that.
I have an alternate setting, if I may.
Yeah.
When I was young, I read these books called the Enchanted Forest series.
Okay.
There's like 3 books. There's dragons and princesses and knights and magic and tendrils of magic and wizards and witches, and it was so cool. And the wizards were the bad guys, and they sucked the energy and magic out of this enchanted forest, and the main characters could see the tendrils of magic and pluck the strings and change how the magic happened. And so I think that would be really fun to play with, is being able to see the actual physical manifestation of the magic and be able to interact with it in that way. So, and still have dragons that talk to you, and they're actually really, really friendly and things like that.
Sorry. I worked a lot of graveyards when I was younger. Stuff. I found that the best thing for me to get me through like doing something late at night, I have to eat. I have to eat. Like caffeine doesn't do it for me late at night. Food powers me through.
There you
So
go.
I apologize. I like if I don't physically eat right now, I will pass out. So, but
I can't sleep unless I eat.
I am a big, obviously I'm a big Magic fan. Like in general, I love the concept of it. I love playing, spell casting, all that stuff. I love it. And when I made my homebrew, I really just like packed it full of magic. So really any setting that's like high magic setting I'm like really into, and it's really funny that I love Dragonlance so much because it's not a high magic setting, it's so low magic. But anyway, so that was one of the things I really loved about and why I gravitated when I was younger to Shadowrun, because it was like a modern game with an awakened world where magic returns, and and you have the goblinization where elves and orcs and trolls and dwarves return and stuff like that. Like I loved it. Did I love all the mechanics of Shadowrun? No, I didn't love those. Did I follow them all? Heck no, but I haven't run it since second edition, so I haven't really followed a lot. But I love that stuff. So yeah, if you have magic infused, like, oh yeah, I'm all down for that. So anything interesting when it comes to magic, I'm always fascinated by. And though oddly enough, the games that I generally run tend to be kind of low magic. That's kind of weird.
Tend to be what?
Like I run Vampire. There's like really not a lot of magic.
Oh,
in
okay.
Vampire, like
Low magic. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's low. It tends to, like these games that I gravitate towards or something like that. There's settings like Dragonlance or Vampire the Masquerade. There's not a lot of magic. Like there are like there's
low magic, but
disciplines and stuff like. But it's still,
yeah. They may be low magic, but they're high super heroic, super abilitied.
Yeah, but it's not that's not the same though. Like I like having that really mind bending spell that looks really bitchin' and does something really cool, and all the fun things that you can't explain. Like I like that shit, and that's
world warping.
Yes, yeah, I dig it. I dig it. So, but the city of the is being publicly known instead of him. Yes. Yeah, I would like to see it so it's not like hidden off in the shadows too. Yeah, I agree. Did everyone have a chance to answer that question? I hope I didn't.
No. But I mean, the book series that I would want to do a game or just even a one shot in is not very well known, but it's written by a friend of mine. But it's called Steps of Power, and it's mainly elves. The whole world is mainly just populated by elves. There's some humans thrown in there, but it's mainly just elves. But it's one of those settings where there's magic, but it's regulated, and some of it's taboo and illegal, i.e. necromancy is very illegal.
Ooh.
And one of the main characters is a necromancer, and there's consequences for every time he casts a spell, and then the other main character as a cryomancer. And it's he again. Every time they cast some sort of magic, there's some sort of physical, like they get exhausted or something.
Right.
But I really like that setting, and I would love to play a game in it. And she hopefully she's not watching and is like, I want you to play my game. $5, and I'm like, don't look at me.
No, I really, and that is also another aspect of it that I really do enjoy. Is when there are consequences, when there is a price.
I really like that.
For that's one of the things I really dug about the Dark Sun setting for that started in D&D 2e. Is like the only 2e I played. Was how like the world was just like stripped of so much because like of magic, because of spellcasting and stuff like that. And it was like, oh, that's cool, and like if you want to cast something actually cool and powerful and stuff like that, you have to like rip from the the earth below to get that power and literally defile the land. And it was like, oh,
well, and then you had the opposite of that. You had the opposite, place in that with Eberron, where magic was everywhere.
Right. I never really got a chance to play in that or really read much into it, but I'm really looking forward to them finally publishing something concrete for 5e and diving into that, because it all looks really cool, and everyone that I know that talks about how campaigns they play in and stuff like that, it all sounds very cool. It sounds like something that'd be right up my alley for sure. So
on the magic with consequences thing, at least in my game, like I don't do it on every school of magic, just on certain ones. And I've introduced time magic into my game.
You too?
Yep.
Been there.
Right now, though,
it's a mistake, isn't it?
Well, I've limited it to NPCs right now.
Me too. It's still a mistake.
It's still a mistake. But each of these NPCs, so for time magic, I say it takes time off of their lifespan. But since some of them are, fae or elves, that doesn't really affect them all that much, because I use the Tolkien rule for elves. So it just exhausts them for a few days or weeks, depending on how big the spell was they use. Like necromancy does the same thing. Just depends. So like I like to give them consequences. Some schools of magic, like illusion, I really don't give them any sort of consequence or anything like that. But I think there should be consequences, or at least a reaction to the magic being used.
Well, yeah, because then it's just
Then it's just like spell spamming for no reason.
Okay.
I wanted to elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
On the Star Trek thing, because I also read the books as opposed to just watching the shows. And there's a series that I'm reading right now. It's the Prey series, and it's all about Klingons, of course.
Okay.
And I would really, really like to play in that setting. It is very, very combat oriented, and just it sounds so cool because they're very driven people, and they have such in-depth backgrounds, and the Dishonored have their own background from before they were Dishonored to when they, and things like that. And these books are really good. I read the second two of the trilogy because they were a gift to me, and then I just bought the first one, so I'm reading that one. You okay, Matty? Oh, you were eating. Okay.
Sorry.
You just collapsed. But that would be so much fun. Just, I'm not all about combat in a game, but it would be very fun. There's no magic, and I'm kind of against high-tech and futuristic settings in RPGs, tabletop RPGs, but this would still be amazingly fun.
I obviously I'm a big Trek fan, and I definitely, because I definitely take ideas from stuff I saw in Star Trek or things that they use and stuff, to apply it to a lot of things, especially in D&D. So I'm a big fan of the Klingons. I think it's probably one of the one of the greatest sci-fi creations ever, conceived and developed. It's just really interesting and layered, the whole race and how there's a lot there. It's fantastic. There's a language, like there's an entire language, and it's fantastic. It's not just like your standard enemy, like
Mm-hmm.
And what I did when I started playing my hobgoblin character in a Tal'Dorei game, I it's like reading a lot of like the hobgoblin and volos and stuff like that, and I saw a lot of parallels to Klingons in Star Trek, and it's kind of how I view like my character, my hobgoblin and his society. I kind of look at the Klingons and look at how they're structured and everything like that, because they are structured.
Mm-hmm.
There's a structure. There is an honor code. There's all these little things that like they are their accomplishments come from like greatness in battle and things like that.
Yes.
Like there is a lot of parallels there, and it really made it really made the like like me being able to connect to this character and everything like that a lot easier, just by going, okay, I used it. I really used Klingons in general as a background for it. And of course, we're over 50 games in and stuff like that, and characters definitely developed and whatnot over time, but there's still that there, and it's a lot of who he is and stuff. And so yeah, I totally ripped off Klingons when working on that character, and just I saw parallels. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people feel the same way when they see that, but I did, and I don't know. I like it. It worked for me.
So from to pull on that a little bit. So I do that parallel with my dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
So I pull the Klingon mentality to my dwarves.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
So that's how all my dwarves are in any of the times I ever pull a dwarf out, or their cities or their clans, because that's how I always saw a dwarf in their clan, because they're all clan driven.
Yeah.
And there's inner conflict between the clans.
Yeah, okay.
So because if you remember in Klingons have fights between their different families.
Their houses.
Yeah. So I always saw that with the dwarves in the Faerun setting, is that there's always a fight between the different dwarven clans. So that's how I always saw my dwarves. So, which is funny, you guys you brought it with a hobgoblin, and I'm like, I never thought about that for hobgoblins, but I could see it too there.
Yeah.
Well, I think it works because like as like in a general, with like a big general brushstroke, right? When we think about like alignment, right? And how they've kind of structured these races out to where, like where elves and stuff, they fall into like a chaotic, and the dwarves are like a more lawful. And when you look at your monster races and stuff like that, like that's where the hobgoblins in general fit, are more of a lawful structured society. There's So yeah, there's gonna definitely be, I think, some parallels between societies of hobgoblins and dwarves in many ways. I think, just because of that inherent structure in the broad stroke, of course. Not to say it's all like that, and that it's all everything is homogenized and the same. No, no, it's not. But in the broader stroke of uh, Dungeons and Dragons lore, and things like that. Yeah, it's kind of how it's broken down. So
I brought it to one of my tieflings that played, and the DM actually let me use a batleth as my weapon. It was fabulous.
There you go.
I like that.
Yeah, he was a tiefling fighter. So, anyway,
Cool.
Star Trek.
I've never played a tiefling.
I
Not
saw
that
someone on Twitter that named their tiefling Kitty Eli-san, and it just made me so happy.
named it what?
Kiri Eli-san, which is from it's
Oh,
Latin, but
yeah.
it's in It it made me so happy that they named their tiefling that.
I was in a high school choir, so I do I have
GSE Ray for the win.
I have sung that a lot. Those words a lot.
I love that. I love that music though. It's such good music.
Let's see. Okay, we have. Oh, there we go. So our next question. Okay. Oh yeah, I really like this question. So which is better, tailoring a character to one's own taste, or bringing life to a randomly constructed character?
Both. But
Huh.
both can be good. I like going back and forth. So some of my like the pixie was randomly generated that I played in the one shot. Like I think that a randomly generated character can be quite a bit of fun. It keeps you on your feet for a little bit, but I also really like having a character like customly made, particularly like this is how I want this character to be. So, I mean, it just depends on my mood, which game it is.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think it's definitely inherent on, and of course, I don't know. I really should grab the names when we copy over the questions. But
No.
I'm curious because it would be totally different whether it's a one shot or a campaign, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but what if it was just like, what if it's for a campaign? This is a character you're going to be playing, for, did you actually copy that? That's funny. But for a campaign, like, because I'm really curious, like, what is better? Is it really, like that character that you made, or having that character essentially made and then, giving it your spin?
I might be biased. I have never played a randomly generated character because I feel like I wouldn't be able to go, like adapt very well to them.
Okay.
I really, really like making custom characters.
Sure. Okay.
I can pour myself into it and be like, what part of my personality do I want to throw into it? And be like, oh, I usually play chaotic neutral characters.
Okay.
Because it gives me tons of options. But I can go this way and that way. And with a randomly generated character, I feel like I just wouldn't have as many options. And I would be kind of stuck in this little rut of how I'm supposed to play this person.
I don't know about that. I think it's more it's more of an improv adapting to,
Yeah, okay.
don't you? I don't know. It's just,
I do like improv.
I mean,
as a
but
theater.
everyone else kind of see it that way? Like it's more like, or am I just
What did it say again?
Well, so with the way the question, the way the question is asked and worded, but like bringing life to a randomly constructed character, to me it feels like you're handed a randomly constructed character. You have to breathe life into it. This is a chance for improvisation to shine in you. And of course, some people thrive on that. And
every NPC I do most of the time is friendly.
Most NPCs that we
every no-name NPC is randomly generated. Named NPCs, no, they have thought put into them, but like I don't know, just randomly generated NPCs like Felix. Felix is just there's no Felix is an enigma. I still don't know what I'm doing. But I like randomly generated. They're fun.
Nerdy Teddy.
I like making characters. I like making characters. Nothing against random generated. I mean, it can be lots of fun. You can take a character that's randomly generated and build off of that for what you want them to be, and it can be fun. They can both be lots of fun, but I just like making characters too much.
Yeah.
Feel that.
Chris.
So I'm going to be in the camp that I like randomly generated. I like to see what comes up, and then, especially if it's going to be one that I have a hand in building. If it's like hit the random gen, and then it's like, okay, so that's that character is. Now, how can I play it off and go? So like today with the girls that I was just working with, they had a hard time playing with the bonds and the flaws, and I was like, okay, well, this is why we're doing this. This is a playoff point, and they're like, oh, and so it was that improv moment of listening to the character's inner voice and playing off of that.
Yeah,
and that's how I always see that moment of, yeah, this character may have that stat line on the paper, but that's not the point of it. It's a playoff moment. And so that's how I always see a random character. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's what he thinks, and that's how I'm going to react.
Okay.
I can see that.
What I like with not just like hitting the random generator button, like one of my NPCs was supposed to be a player character I was going to use, but I found a little thing on just, it had different lists. It's kind of like, what is it? Shadow of the Demon Lord, where you randomly roll every piece of the character from different lists. Like you take a D6 or D10 or whatever. You just randomly roll each trait. So you're still building the character to your taste somewhat, but you're rolling on little lists to build their. Like you can choose which list. You don't have to choose all of the lists. You can choose specific lists. So like just like Alenza, the one I'm talking about, I randomly rolled for every single one of her states, her backstory, her family, her parent status, her whatever, hair color, eye color. I randomly rolled all of it. Race, and she's turned out to be a fantastic now NPC. So, I mean, it's one way to randomly roll them, but still be more involved rather than just going on D&D Beyond and hitting random generate.
Yeah, okay, I can see that, and that would be much better in my opinion than the button pushing.
It also depends on the player too. So like if you're not, so you're Rick, you like the ability to be able to put a piece of you into that character when you're building it. So in my opinion, that means you would probably really dislike it if I just said, here's your character for today. You would freak out and be like, I'm out, because you would have a hard time with it.
I would have a hard time with it, but I would eventually be like, okay, I guess I'll try.
It'd be a fun
right.
I wouldn't nope out, but what was that, Auri?
Oh, I said it'd be a fun little game. I'd be okay with it, but it'd take me a minute to get into the character.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So for me, I've had that done. I've walked into a room and someone said, here you go. And I went, oh, I'm a female gnome who has anger issues and thinks that everyone smells like feet. Okay. And that was written on the paper. and I had that was one of the things that we had to do, and that's what my guy did. He would hand you a character every third session and say, "We're playing a new run. Here's your character for the next couple of sessions."
Okay, that does sound like fun. A
That
little intimidating, but fun.
It made you grow as a player because you had to really be on your toes to figure out what he would throw at you next. Like, I still have one of them. I've played him one day, one session, and I'll never get rid of him because he's the coolest character ever. Because he's a fire elemental.
Nice.
Who is a pirate.
I love him already.
You're not supposed to have fire on a boat, you know. It's like really
exactly.
No, unless it's a party boat.
Oh, that's bad.
But so it's things like that he would throw things that are just totally random, and he'd be like, "How am I supposed to play this?"
Huh.
And he'd be, "Figure it out. You have an hour while I finish building the campaign." And in that hour, we'd be eating, and he'd be finishing up, and we'd be, "Okay, it's time to roll dice. Let's go."
I think that's if you're. I mean, if that's something that you are aware that's or
it's coming.
Like yeah, you know, like if it's that's part of what playing in this game is. Of course, like that could be fun. That could be a nice change of pace.
Mm-hmm.
I like kind of coming up with random. I make a lot of characters indeed, like in D&D Beyond. I like coming up with character ideas constantly. You know, like I like that. It's fun. I like role playing out different things. Definitely. But the characters that I want to play are the ones that I have really thought about, you know, and really, you know, even before I get to start playing them, like when I am able to kind of coalesce and develop the idea of what this character could be, because I never, you know, you don't know what your character's going to be until you play at least 5 to 10 sessions. You don't know. You have an idea, but you don't really know. But what they could be, you know, and I love making that and developing the little ideas and what kind of makes them what they are. Like, I love that. Because my favorite role playing, you know, is emotional role play. I love emotions. Like, I love being, like, I love when I have to tap into myself, like my real feelings, and really get into a moment and feel it, you know, like it's really happening and stuff like that. That's my favorite stuff. I mean, when my DM makes me cry, I love it. Oh my god, I love it so much.
When you need your button pressed.
You know, like I like what they, you know, so, and like, you know, like my DM on Wednesday is really good at this stuff. Really good at this stuff. And you know, it helps when you're really invested in a game and a campaign and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like that's my favorite thing. So I really do. That generally comes from me. Because when I make a character, even when I don't mean to, I always put a part of myself in it, right? We all kind of end up eventually doing this. We put parts of ourselves in our characters. And it's like a touchstone for us, you know, it's like how we can relate in some way to this character and then dive in. So like I love the idea of just like, you know, taking a random generated character and bringing it to life, because that's fun. Would I want to do that for a campaign? I don't know. maybe I would feel differently if I started a campaign with like a random generated character and then played at least 15 or 20 sessions and then could go, okay, now I have some real comparison, you know? Because it's totally different for one shots. One shots are one shots. One shots are like, okay, what is the most random thing I can think of? What is the thing I've never gotten to play but always wanted to try? What is the silliest thing I can think of? Or what is the thing that is going to challenge me the most? Like, these are the things we do for one shots. You know, like, we don't develop characters for one shots. You know? So, yeah.
Well, it depends on the one shot too, though. Like, you played in my Thieves run, and there was some character development in the one shot.
Oh yeah.
And then at the end, I always leave my one shots with a cliffhanger. Every time.
That would
because
drive me nuts.
Oh, but what's fun about it though is it's a cliffhanger, but it's not. So it, like with Matty's, when I ran Thieves Run for his group, it ended, and it very much could end that at that end. That was the end, but there was a couple of things that, well, why is that like that?
Right.
So if they wanted to keep going, we could have.
Yeah, okay.
So and I bring that up for the simple fact that I have a drawer here. This was a one shot a year ago. It is no longer a one shot. It is now a campaign. These were randomly generated characters that these players have fallen in love with and have put their whole soul into.
Yeah.
They wrote a backstory for the randomly generated characters.
Okay.
For the
I
one
can dig
shot?
it.
Well,
For the characters that I gave them.
no, but just for the one shot. It was before the one shot, right?
No, it was supposed to be a one shot for Halloween.
No, I know.
He's asking about if they wrote the backstory before or after.
No, after.
Okay, so yeah, okay, that makes sense. And yeah, not that people don't write backstories for one-shot characters, because I had a lot of people playing in the vampire game that really developed their characters before we even played, and went whole hog and wrote.
I'm bad about that.
Full-on backstories, and they were beautiful. And it was gorgeous. It was lovely. I love to see that stuff. I think that's great. I don't do that myself. You know, that's it. You know, like, I don't really do that. For a one shot, I usually, it's always like a concept or idea or something, you know, that kind of just pops up, and I go, oh, let's run with that. So, but I get what you're saying, Chris, because I do that a lot myself when I run one shots. Whether I intend to or not, a lot of mine end with like hanging threads, stories unfinished, cliffhangers and such, because you run out of time, you don't get to certain points that you kind of thought you would, or whatever, what have you. And sometimes I do it on purpose. Like today, I totally did that on purpose. You know, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna tell you everything. I'm just like, I'm gonna tell you this one. I'm gonna show you this one little thing, and then I'm gonna like, okay, that's it, we're done. And because yeah, sometimes it's fun to do that, and it's fun to kind of have a continuing story, like a series of one shots. Because I that is one thing that I tend to do is one shots in series. So
yeah,
whether it was the vampire games were all connected, and it was like the same story being told in different pieces, you know, like chapter at a time. But with like the Retroverse, like it's like the same story, and and it's really just supposed to be a laugh, you know, like just a fun goof off time to play in that game and be silly and do silly stuff in an 80s neon setting, right? But it's a continuing story. It's always there's stuff there, and like, you know, like I keep this, you know, it's all together. It's all canon, you know. I like to run my one shots in that sense, you know, generally. So, but if I ran a one shot like one of those Retroverse one shots and the group clicked and everybody just wanted to keep it going and we're able to make it happen and all that stuff, that would be awesome, you know. And I'm sure that the when people make play a random generated character and stuff, something like that, or just the what do I call that? That I'm pre-gens, the pre-gens. Like I'll make pre-gens and stuff like that for people if they don't have time or don't want to make a character. If it was like all pre-gens and stuff like that, and they wanted to keep playing those and bring life to them, like I could totally see that happening, and it'd be great. But that would never happen to me because I wouldn't have time to continue that stuff. I just don't. Like the only way I can run a Dragonlance game is to do it as a podcast, because I only have to record once every I only have to play once every 3 to 4 weeks. Because that's all I have time for in my schedule. You know, like I can't do another even bi-weekly game, you know, like, so it's an awesome idea and concept. I just I wish I had time for it. No. And I just rambled on forever. I'm sorry.
That's great. A nice soothing voice. So
there's nothing soothing about this voice.
Oh, Matty, just keep talking.
Auri's gonna go conk here in a minute.
No, like normally I work night shifts, so normally this is like my lunchtime. But I took Robitussin during the break.
Oh yeah, you're done. You're done.
Dang.
Liquid death will eat you here in a minute.
I took a half dose so that it wouldn't instantly, you know,
right,
send me comatose.
So you're not like robo-frying yet, but you're on your way.
Did you say robo-frying?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was a raver, so you know.
Yep.
I've just never heard that term before, but it
really
describes it pretty accurately.
Yeah, I was a raver.
Robo-frying.
So
I hate
back in the day.
I don't hate it because it makes me sleepy. I hate it because it tastes terrible.
Liquid death.
My son refuses to drink any type of cough syrup.
My son will drink it. He doesn't care. He'll just take it, no problem. I try to give him like the good tasting, like, you know, kids ibuprofen. Won't take it, but he'll take the Robitussin like a champ. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, I try and give him Dayquil, and he just like.
that stuff is gross.
Yes, it is. But anyway.
And it burns.
I digress.
So, youngsters. Oh, I know. So tired. What were we talking about? Wow. Oh,
I don't remember.
Oh, right, the characters. That's right. So
yep.
Everyone piped in on that, right? We all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
I think so.
I think so. Sorry. I am doing better than I expected, that's for sure. And there's only 30 minutes left, so that's pretty darn good.
We can do this.
I am impressed.
Maybe.
So now let's talk about No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Tell me about this Dragonlance thing that you keep bringing up.
No, it's okay. Though I think I might. So like I showed off the art last night after What was
at
I
the end of
what was I
Retroverse.
streaming? No.
You showed it off the other night for Thursday night.
Oh, that's
remember?
right. The GM chats. That's right. I did
Yeah.
Yeah,
Game Master
GM
chats on
chats.
Thursday night, and I showed off the artwork that night. I think.
Shortly after you called me out for my binder clip army.
Well, it's awesome.
I had to post the binder clip army into
It's
the
awesome.
chat.
It's awesome. I think I might be. I think I might just. I think maybe not tonight because I'm too tired, but tomorrow I think I might just go ahead and just share with Twitter. I was gonna wait until we had the second session, but I don't know. So good. So good. So good. So
By the
I'm
way,
so tired.
peanut butter on chocolate.
Oh,
I'm
right. Which is
confused by
better,
the
getting
question.
peanut butter on chocolate or getting chocolate on peanut butter?
Isn't
Huh.
it the same thing? I'm really confused.
Okay, so I do both, right? Because I do the cake and then the chocolate ice cream and then the peanut butter syrup and then the chocolate syrup and then the peanut butter whipped cream, and then I like to drizzle some chocolate. On that, so.
Weird. I'll get peanut butter and I'll put it on a spoon and like I'll put a little bit of peanut butter on the spoon and then I'll get chocolate pudding and I'll eat the pudding with the peanut butter on the spoon and then I'll do more.
I think that counts as peanut butter on chocolate.
I think that's chocolate on the peanut butter because the peanut butter is the first thing on the spoon, and then the pudding goes on the spoon.
No, wait. Did you say you eat a bite of pudding and then you eat a bite
No,
of
So
peanut
I'll
butter?
get a little bit of peanut butter on the spoon, on the tip of the spoon, like
And then
just
she
a little
puts the
bit,
spoon
and then
in
I'll
the-
put the spoon in the
Oh, okay. So that is chocolate on peanut butter.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like a Hershey's bar and then you spread a little bit of peanut butter on top. Ooh, that sounds so good.
I just like Reese cups.
Right. Chocolate and peanut butter is fucking fantastic, yo.
I'll just avoid the chocolate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right. Fair.
Yeah, okay.
Fair. Yeah.
Nerdy
'cause-
Chatty, do you have an opinion on this?
I mean, I just like peanut butter and chocolate. I don't really care how it goes together. Peanut butter and chocolate is the winning combination.
just swirl it up, you know.
I make an amazing chocolate silken pie made with tofu, and you can put peanut butter, and it's amazing. And we made a Reese's one time where I just poured some melted chocolate on
We
the bottom,
know,
then we
we
put
know.
some peanut butter, and then we put some of the chocolate tofu pie on top, and it was just
Every question's a legitimate question.
We know, we tired. And
It's like a teleprompter. We just read what's there, man.
right. It's just like
Several bad things are said on the teleprompter, and you just don't pay attention.
Anchorman.
so I was there, oh boy. Okay. Budge. I had something and I'm lost.
I have a question.
Go for it.
What is your favorite part about creating a character?
Oh.
Like whether it be pre-gen or like especially one that you've made
Mhm.
like handcrafted. What is
Yeah.
your favorite part about it?
I'll have to say, I'll go first
Okay.
because everyone's choking or they're thinking. So I'll go first.
I'm being polite as a host.
So for me, when I'm building characters, I always like to go with the idea of who the base of the character. Who are they? What are they doing? Why are they doing this? Why are they adventuring? Because just because they're adventurers, that's boring. There's got to be a base reason.
Sure.
So that's why I always start with a character. Then it's the thing of, well, if they're adventuring and they're how do they become that thing? You know, who are they? Why are they doing it? How do they become a sorcerer or a wizard or a barbarian or whatever?
Right.
Is it family lineage? Is it because then it builds the story of the character.
That's your favorite part of making a character?
Yeah, because it's for me, it's the story.
Yeah,
because that's where I come from, and that's just because I have to. For me, I'm a DM, so for me, it's the story. If I don't have hooks to grab a hold of, it doesn't do me any good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's. So the origins are like really, yeah, I like that. Origins and motivations, stuff like that. Nerdy, Titty?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I love this story and origin too. I've started a concept, and once I have that concept flushed out a little bit into a person, it's the story. It's kind of who they are. I don't have to know everything, but I would like to know pieces. What's part of it? I mean, when I created my character for the VTM5 game, Crusade of Thorns, and I created Celine, I actually, once I got past the concept of like what she was like as a Toreador and stuff, I wrote an actual timeline of where she had been from birth to becoming a vampire and all the way down to getting to LA. I didn't know everything. Like there was gaps and stuff, but most of it was like I was here in Carthage from, in these 10 years, and then I was in New Orleans from 1950 to 1970, and was in Chicago for the World Fair and stuff like that. Those important little details of the story.
The high points.
Yeah.
Actually, what Enigma Soul just described in chat, kind of similar to how I like to kind of build characters myself, but
I'm sorry I've infected you.
I know. Pretty soon, the coughing is spreading, and pretty soon, I'll be coughing, and Rick will be coughing, because the three of you are already coughing. It's a cough-tacular. But
How dare you, Auri?
Oh no!
What was I gonna say?
Agent of Chaos.
Because like I said before, I like to sit and when I'm bored, instead of playing like Angry Birds or something like that on my phone, like a random phone game, I make characters in D&D Beyond. That's what I do when I'm bored. I have like 80 of them, right? So I like to kind of like I start with one or the other, whether it's a race or a class, one of the two. And I just kind of take one of those and go, okay, I'd really like to make one of these for whatever reason, right? And then it's like, okay, what do I want to make them as? Like, what do I want to pair it with? And then what is that person? What are they? And so it's like they say in the chat, like kind of taking Lego blocks and kind of putting them together and trying to make a something from that. My favorite thing is just that, like taking the pieces, the parts of what this character could be, and taking that and pairing it with this, and then giving them this, and okay, we're gonna throw this background in there, and then these certain types of skills, and maybe specialize in this, and you start to kind of put it all together, and you
coalesces.
Yeah, and then while that's happening, that's when the wheels are really turning, and you're starting to kind of you're starting to see the face come together, the body, the mind, everything kind of come together in your head and form. that's my favorite part of character building, because that's just fun to me. And whether I take that and run with it and develop it further is another story.
Mhm.
But when it comes to creating, like, that's my favorite part. Is just like the little nuts and bolts and how little things piece together, and how like interesting it can be to maybe make a combination that doesn't seem to fit, like, or
Mhm.
seems odd, like the gnome barbarian or something like that, like it's just it's an odd thing that you don't see a lot of, but you're like, okay, now where did this come from and how did this develop, and so when you put it out as a joke and people vote on it, and then you're like, okay, like, where did this come from? And well, I mean, that's fun to develop, but so that's what I
Yeah.
like. I like that stuff. Yeah.
All right.
That's exactly, yeah.
Yeah, either Nerdy Teddy or Ari. Do you have any?
Oh, Nerdy Teddy, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But Ari's been coughing this whole
Brain.
time.
I've been
Yeah.
trying not to die.
Okay. If you would rather save your voice, that is okay.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm on along the same lines as Chris, though. I like the story. So.
Yeah. Breathe, dear.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Steam might be good.
Yes. And okay. Oh, that's, yeah, I like to do
crazy.
stuff like that too. I like to kind of like, okay, is there like a way I can make this character like do something really super well, and kind of like play on that too? Because you're just like, I'm curious how these mechanics fit together and stuff, and you're like, what can I
Make something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's how I built got my race character when I played the one session with Kevin. I mean, it was just, I want to be an unassuming tank, and so I ended up with like an immortal character that could just take a whole shit ton of damage.
They're fun. Yeah. They're fun to build that way.
I
was going to ask a question. So do you guys like to do, so when you're building stat-based things, do you like to do max stats as high as you can build them? Or do you like having a low stat so you have a reason for that low stat?
I like having a low stat. Because it's just like, it makes it a little more realistic. Usually for me, that's strength. Just because it's because I don't make many. I usually do spellcasters and things like that. But just to go back, what I wanted to say is my favorite part is the quirks.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just, how is this going to be unique from anything else I've made? Anyway, back to your question, Chris. Sorry.
That's all right. I thought you already answered it. That's why I brought it up.
No, I did not.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
How dare you, sir? Yeah, but I like having a dump stat. Okay. So, and then I like having, my highest one be the highest one. Brain.
Okay. Yeah, our brain's not functioning super well right now. That's for sure.
But yeah, I usually don't. I mean, I might maximize like that one thing I really want the character to be good at.
Yes.
But, I mean, Celine was pretty much all front loaded in being at talking to people and manipulating people. In a fight was pretty much useless. I mean, especially as vampires go, was.
So it'd be like charisma.
Yeah.
Um, I I'll say it depends on the DM, to be honest. Because like I love to have a dump stat and stuff like that, or even a couple dump stats, right? Um, and use that for roleplay and whatnot. Um, but if you have a DM who uh doesn't always take things like that into account and ends up like um I've had DMs that kind of like punish players for having a bad score somewhere, like in a sense, like,
Mm.
and I don't know how to describe it because I'm too tired, but so it just really depends on the DM because some DMs are dicks, and don't be a dick, all right? Don't be a dick. But
We've all had those DMs.
yeah, but really, I find it fun to have those dump stats sometimes. And all of my characters have them, and I mean dump stat, like, because like at least like Noakes had a 6th strength for ever.
Wow.
Okay, a 6th strength. Okay.
One of my clerics had a 7 charisma, so
Like my current cat bard that I play in the Neverland game has a 6 wisdom, okay, and I play on that all the time, and it's fun. Like I like to role play that stuff out. Like Garen has an 8 charisma, and I role play the hell out of that. It's awkward and does not talk to people well, and gets really weird when he has to like talk to power and stuff. There's all these little things, these little quirks that you can play on those dump stats. I love that. But if you have a dicky DM, it's no fun. So
I like it when people choose intelligence as their dump stat, just because it's so funny. Oh, I've never done it. That's usually my highest one, that and wisdom. But I think it's hilarious to watch. And they're going like, they're trying to figure something out. They're using perception. They're like, yep, that's a rock. And I just find it very, very funny.
That's a good wall.
And that is very true. Enigma wisdom is poorly defined in a lot of ways.
Yeah, okay.
But generally, when you think about the skills that are involved, like perception, insight, things like that, that's a lot of that really is more like awareness, I think, and your ability to interpret and process what you're seeing, and making it make sense. I think to me that's a lot of what defines the wisdom set. So like when I play my character with the 6 wisdom, that's stuff that I will play off of. Like there is I like to play the high intelligence, low wisdom character. The what I like to call the Sheldon Cooper, right? You're super smart, but you really don't pick up on things. You don't.
You have to have a sarcasm sign.
Exactly. Like you really don't how to interpret all the knowledge that's pouring into your brain sometimes, and how
The absent-minded professor,
yeah,
as was just said in the chat. Yeah, it's a great
exactly.
archetype.
So I like to play off that, and doing so when I'm not like I have a hard time playing a high charisma character, despite the fact that I love bards. I don't play them often because I am terrible at role playing things like persuasion and stuff like that. I am awful at it, and I always feel weird and awkward. So playing a high charisma character is hard, but when you throw in something like the low wisdom, that kind of like absent-minded professor kind of idea, and add the high charisma, it really helps the charisma, I think, for at least for me to roleplay, because it gives the character a little bit more of what am I trying to say? Yeah, it makes him a little bit more charming. Is what? Yeah, that's what I meant. Like a little bit more charming. You know, like to kind of be a little dim-witted in that sense. You know, like it's cute. So I don't know. I'm so tired. High charisma is
10 minutes.
Around you as much as possible. Yeah. See, I'm just not great at that. I don't like to stand out in a crowd.
Charisma's a tough one. I've always been tough with a charisma-based character.
Yeah. I have social anxiety, really bad. So you know.
In the club, we have comfort blankets.
But your character's not, yeah. See, I just have a hard time role playing it. I don't know.
Something I'm actively working against right now.
Yeah.
It's something that my work is making me work against my personal thing. So it's kind of fun they're actually giving me assistance with it. So it's great fun, whether I like it or not.
Yeah. Word. But the crazy thing is that I love being social. I just can't be around people.
Yeah.
Like I like this. I have a talk show. I like to sit down and talk to people and learn about them and have discussions and talk to them for hours.
Still in my safe space.
But I want to be in my safe space and not.
Introverts unite from your own homes together.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
So.
Thank you.
I am the introvert.
Yeah. This is what
I don't leave my apartment unless I have to.
The
And
introvert, extrovert.
My job makes me talk on the phone to people all night long, and I'm just like,
I hate it.
See, now when I was working, it was a different story. I could turn it on.
Yeah, but I gotta be assertive. I gotta be assertive some nights, and it's just like.
I worked in hospitality for over a decade, hospitality management. So, yeah, you're really working with people. So yeah, I could really turn it on when I was working, but no. I also got an ulcer, so I don't know.
Aww.
It is what it is. But we are hitting that almost. We're nearing the top of the hour here, so it is time for us to say our goodbyes and wrap this thing up because we've been here hanging out, chatting for over 3 hours, almost 3.5 hours.
Very fun.
And
It's been a blast.
Thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight and sticking with me the whole time. You guys are phenomenal. And I could not have done it without you. I'm telling you. Wow. So thank you. And for the folks that came out and asked questions and interacted, you are why we do this. Why. So thank you so much. A lot of great questions, a lot of great discussions tonight. It was a lot of fun, and yeah. So
this was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on here.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. And if you are in the TTRPG Twitter community or just TTRPG community, and you want to come hang out and chat about TTRPGs, hit me up. And I have one rule. Okay, one rule. What's the rule, folks? Anybody?
Don't be a dick.
Thank you. Don't be a dick. So, I mean, hey, if you're not a dick, you're welcome on the show and hang out. I want you to hang out and all this stuff. I want to get to know you. I am fascinated by everybody. I just, because this is a great community and there are a lot of great people, and I like to hear their stories. And I like to. I am socially awkward and I anxious, but I love people. It's hard to say, but yeah. The community's got a lot of great people. So anyway,
it's the best.
So with that said, we're gonna go across the board here. We're gonna have all of our amazing guests tell you all of their good stuff, and let me get back to the screen there. Oh, there we go. So we'll start from back where we ended in the introduction. So Chris, tell the folks at home where they can find you on the internet and what you're up to.
Sure. So you can find me over on Twitter at Chris N. And the other place you can find me is badlandsdnd.com, doing all the charity work for all my local players. And anytime that Matty will have me on his shows, I'm always on his shows. So thank you, Matty. And then always looking for games. So if you guys are needing a crazy person with a funny voices, look me up.
Yep, look him up. Chris is awesome, and I love you, man.
Oh, the same to you, man.
Auri.
Hi. I'm gonna get it right this time. Watch. You can find me everywhere at _lady_Auri. I got it right that time.
Watch out.
We're so proud of you.
But I never get it right. It's my own username, and I never get it right, ever. But you can find me everywhere: Twitter, Twitch. Yeah. I do art. I do video games. I stream D&D on my channel on every other Saturday and every Monday. Monday is a game run by me. Saturday is Curse of Strahd, run by my in real life DM. He runs an online game for us. And Fridays you can find me on Welcome to the Party with my game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
I do art for D&D stuff, Twitch stuff, but I am taking a break from private commissions. So if you have contract work commissions, you can hit me up. But private commissions are closed until like November after I get back from Seattle with extra life stuff. So
Seattle.
It's gonna be so much fun. I'm so excited.
Me too.
I'm so excited to meet all the Dumpstep boys in person and Matty and everybody. It's gonna be great.
I know. I'm so excited, but in person is like I'm freaking.
Oh, I
out.
know. It's hard for me
So
because I'm like
freaking
I don't leave my apartment unless I have to. But like I'm excited to finally meet everybody in person.
I know.
And I can hear my voice going out from all the coughing I've been doing.
Well, thank you for sticking with us and hanging out, and it's always a delight. You know, you're one of my favorite people in the world.
I'm Mombot's favorite too. Hi, Poon.
Guys are funny. I love it. I should probably put an end to that at some point, but whatever.
It's just fun. It's
Sibling
just
rivalry.
fun.
It's fun. All right.
We don't mean anything, and we don't mean any hatred by it. It's just fun sibling rivalry.
Nerdy Teddy.
Hi, yeah, I'm Nerdy Teddy. You can find me on Twitter at Nerdy Teddy. So I already technically did the one setting that I would want to do. I hacked Masks Powered by the Apocalypse into a Power Rangers inspired game. It is every Thursday night at 8 p.m. ET. You can come join the Millennium Knights. I gotta go figure out what we're doing next week, but Tex Rex will be back. So that's promised. Coming in October, I will be running Monday night is Paranoia and Side Quest on Welcome to the Party. And then in October, I will be running a Die Laughing game. That's the plan, anyways.
Nice.
It's going to be just a one shot. So I'm hoping to run some For the Queen in October as well. And Sunday mornings in October, starting on the 6th, I will, for 8 sessions, be running a Capers Noir game. So go
Cool.
check all that out. You can find me on Twitter, and that's the best way to figure out all this stuff.
Neato.
Awesome. Capers is so good, and I definitely looking forward to seeing that one. Thank you so much, Nerdy Teddy. You know I love you. And so glad you could hang out again.
Yeah, of course.
And finally, Rick.
Ricky, as CA calls me, because it's just so fun. I am on Twitter at Bayhome_Moss. I am also part of a podcast run by Book Zombie. It's Book Zombie Presents Curse of Strahd, hosted by Welcome to the Party. And it's very, very fun. And I play a very hilarious character and a rock. I also play a rock.
A rock.
Like the bird, or Dwayne, or a rock.
A rock. His name is Jeffrey. I saved him from a well.
Okay.
I liberated him from his dark. Yeah, anyway. So that's where I am. Yeah. So you can look up the podcast, and it's very fun. It's very whimsical. It's a Curse of Strahd. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. My brain not braining.
Yeah. Rick, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I'm glad we got to spend a lot of time together recently, and it's been fantastic. I love seeing your face.
Aww.
And thank you so much for hanging out. And folks, of course, I'm Matty, aka So Matty Games, which is essentially where you can find me all over the internet. Whether it is Twitter and all that other stuff, or like my Instagram, I changed to So Nerdwear. So, because that's the thing I do all the time. It's So Nerdwear. It's what the nerds wear.
Yes.
You can get one of these Pizza My Heart t-shirts. All the proceeds go to Action Against Hunger. Once we have this charity event complete, we're going to have a new shirt up that has the names of all the participants involved to thank them. And that'll be available. And of course, again, all the proceeds will go to Action Against Hunger. We are also proud sponsors of Thread Raiders, because Thread Raiders is family. You can go to sonarware.com, use the discount code ThreadRaiders for 10% off your order, and show some love to an amazing group of people that I am very happy and very honored and proud to call family. So down below there are going to be links to Discord and stuff like that. Join the Discord, get to know this family. If you don't already know them, get to know them, because they're great to know and they will love you. Okay. With that said, I guess I could talk about myself a little bit. I always forget about that crap. I play D&D Wednesdays and Fridays on Soulbear RPG, and I play every other Tuesday at Fem NPC, both on Twitch. I do this talk show on my channel along with a Game Master centered talk show called Game Master Chats, and I have another thing that I'm developing for the future. We'll see. But I'm also
Oh,
starting a podcast, actual play set in Dragonlance 5e called Shadows Over Palanthas, and it should be releasing that. I think is going to be early November. Is where that's going to drop. Great cast. I mean, just phenomenally talented, and yeah, I'm really excited. So, why not? It's 2:00 in the morning. Yeah, that's gonna be at Throck Plays, right? That's gonna be at Atomic Firebird. That's gonna be at Mackenzie Lane D8. That's gonna be at D in Diapers. Okay, that cast, I'm telling you, Dreamcast. Okay, and they are phenomenal. And the first episode, oh my god, this introduction is phenomenal. It came out of pretty much their minds, right? One of the players really drove this story, and the way it like kind of wraps up, and they all end up at the same table together. Mwah! It's so cute. It's so it's almost kind of heartwarming. It's lovely. And then things get darker because
they do.
Because
You
there's
tease.
shadows over
You
is in the
tease.
name. So there it is. So that's coming soon, and I'm really excited about that. So
Sweet.
and I'm gonna be dropping that artwork on Twitter really soon. I just because my good friend Auri here did the character art for it. Phenomenal. And but the little graphic I did and stuff like that I showed the other night, I didn't finish putting the attributions to it. So that's not going to Twitter until the attributions are on there, because you need to credit your artist, folks.
Absolutely.
Artists
Definitely.
deserve their frickin' credit. And that includes yourselves, folks. Okay? If you're an artist, put your name on everything. Show the world. Tell the world how awesome you are, because you are.
Don't
Okay.
be that artist that doesn't sign your work. Just don't. People
So
steal it.
that too. That too.
Yep.
And be proud of what you do, because you're beautiful and you're lovely. And we're out of here. So thank you.
Bye.
It's been 3.5 hours. I love it. Bye.
Oh.
And hold on. Where's this? There it is.